We aired a full hour of an interview with Tony Bobulinski last night, but the interview was so compelling and so long, we began to believe him. It was clear he was telling the truth, and he was saying things that hadn't been out there. So we kept rolling. There were parts that we didn't run last night because we didn't have time. We're going to do that tonight quickly. Now remember, the Biden family brought Tony Bobulinski on board to help structure their overseas business deals. These are not people who are good at business. A lot of them have had liens against them from the IRS. They're bad at business. They can't do math. Tony Bobulinski has made a lot of money doing business, so he was the math guy. They brought him in to structure the deals. But it quickly became clear to Tony Bobulinski that they weren't seeking funding for a legitimate business. Watch.
And you can imagine my mouth dropping to the floor when I saw that in August of 2017, remember, the Chinese were supposed to be funding Sinohawk at that time. They were sending money to an entity called Hudson West 3 that is definitively and multiple times referenced in the Senate report. Take a step back. In the entity that I formed, Sinohawk Holdings with the Biden family, Hudson West 4 was used, not Hudson West 3. They had funded the money into Hudson West 3 and then taken that money and directly sent it to Hunter Biden's firm called Owasco. I wasn't aware of that fact until I read the Senate report that Senator Johnson and Senator Grassley distributed to the American people. And you can imagine how angry and frustrated I was at that point. Not about the money that I was lied to, cheated from, and effectively stolen from by the Biden family.
Joe Biden knew from the very beginning that what he and his family were doing was wrong. That's why they hid it. That's not Russian disinformation. The Bidens have effectively admitted it was wrong, and in private, they've said it out loud. Now, we played some audio last night to show you this. We have more audio tonight. You're about to hear Rob Walker and James Gilliar, those are two of the Biden family's business partners, on a call with Tony Bobulinski. They're discussing how very worried they are that this story, the one we're talking about now, would emerge into the press, that it would become public. And they wanted to figure out how to handle the fallout from that. This audio is very new. Here it is.
I just think that if somebody comes out now and verifies the story, it blows up big time. That's all.
We've got this situation now where it's escalated again because somebody, allegedly one of us three, has qualified the story. And already it's back on the front pages.
It's almost touching how naive they are. Now, these are politically sophisticated people, of course. They serve the Biden family. They're Democrats. It goes without saying. But they're convinced in the call you just heard, and this was just taped not long ago, that if this story comes out, the media will verify it and it will blow up. In other words, even the Biden family's business partners, the Biden family itself, wasn't counting on the media to side with them to the extent they have, to bury all this damaging information. The information is obviously incriminating. They had no idea that every news network and every journalist in this country would actually suppress it, because that's never happened in America before. They thought they were going to be busted when it came out. They didn't realize only one cable channel would cover it. Also on that call, Tony Bobulinski pleaded with his business partners to just tell the truth. Just go ahead and tell the truth. Same thing he said in an interview last night. Instead of lying, Rob Walker and James Gilliar can come out and admit what happened. Hunter Biden was selling access to his father. Everyone knows that. Why deny it? Here's the portion of the phone call. Listen.
He was there because he was selling his family's name, and that's the whole reason why the Chinese were there. The Chinese would have never been there if the Biden name wasn't there. They were there for exactly what people are saying they were there for. Let's all be honest with each other.
Yeah. I mean, there's no dispute about that. The Biden family have no marketable skills. They can't actually do anything. They've never done anything except serve in government and make money from that service. Okay? So Rob Walker and James Gilliar didn't refute what Tony Bobulinski said because they knew it was true. The Bidens were selling their family name. They were selling the U.S. government. But that didn't bother them. What bothered them was being exposed doing it. That's why Tony Bobulinski spoke to us last night, and it's why Rob Walker, James Gilliar, and the Biden family are effectively in hiding tonight. Jeanine Pirro is the author of Don't Lie to Me and the host, of course, of Justice with Judge Jeanine on the Fox News channel. We're happy to have her on tonight. Judge, thanks so much for coming on. A lot of threads here, but I just can't, I'm fixated on this one point. Tony Bobulinski is not a political person. He's just a business guy. He doesn't want to get involved at all. They accuse him of betraying his country and serving the interests of Russia. He tells them, look, just take it back and I won't expose you. And they refuse to take it back. And here we are talking about it. Why wouldn't they just take it back?
Well, because they're arrogant and they realize that they've got a lot of protection in terms of Joe Biden running for president. I mean, look, these are people who have been working with other countries for years. I mean, I'm going to start at the end pretty much and say to you that, as you've been saying, the Bidens are bad at business. You know, Hunter Biden is the most easily compromised, blackmailed individual in the country as it relates to other nations and what they probably have on him. But in the end, they've got all kinds of money. They were like pigs at the trough. And they believed that they could continue to con America. Joe Biden believed he could continue to lie to America. And it was that arrogance that brought them to the point where they were openly, dealing with a company that ended up going bankrupt, some of the members being prosecuted for money laundering, that Chinese company, CEFC, the energy company, where they demanded $10 million. And then, ironically, Joe Biden comes out and says, China's not the problem. I mean, that is the concern here. You've got Joe Biden running on the issue of character, basically saying, I'm the man that you can trust. I'm the man that you can count on, when for years he's worked for government, has houses all over the place. So does his family. All this is a result of the games that they've been playing, leveraging his position in government and his family like pigs at the trough, making sure that they make a lot of money off of it. This guy, Bobulinski, and I give you a lot of credit for getting to the heart of the issue, Tucker, his information is credible. It is documentary evidence. It is emails, text messages, phone calls, credit cards, corroborated by a Senate Homeland Security Committee. And in addition to that, this guy is a former Navy lieutenant. He is a high-end businessman. He put a lot at stake in order to come out and let the American people know that this family is a family that's going to sell you out in a minute. Just like Joe Biden, when he went over to Ukraine and said, you're not getting $1 billion unless you fire a prosecutor. He was leveraging our money at that point while his son was on the board of that company he was trying to save. And Joe Biden knew the whole time. He knew the whole time. His son was doing business, his brothers were doing business, and he lied to us. He lied to the American press. And this is a con game. These people can be charged with money laundering. They could be charged with FARA in terms of the lobbying that they've done. This is a RICO. This is fraud. This is conspiracy. Joe Biden is aiding and abetting this RICO. This guy can't get a security clearance if he worked in the Oval Office. And they want to impeach Donald Trump. They can impeach him for what he did in the Ukraine.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in that world is going to be indicted anytime soon. I mean, they're not Roger Stone or something. So, Jeanine Pirro, great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tucker.
So the people in charge have a very familiar and infuriating habit, it's almost a tic, of accusing you of exactly the very things they're doing. It's a cover, of course. So whenever you hear that Russia is doing something, what they're really saying is China, their ally, is doing it. So Google, Twitter, and Facebook, all allied with the Chinese government, has in fact been doing what they say Russia is doing, which is actively interfering in our election. They have deplatformed anybody who disagrees with their candidate. They've censored politicians. They've suppressed the media when it may conflict with their political goals. Today, the people who did that, those tech CEOs, testified before Congress. And we'll tell you what happened when they did.